here we go. Mandy, thank you for sharing. She says, the longer that I or we have been in the shelter in place, I'm dealing with more anxiety because of no routine or schedule. I've tried to create my own, but it has been frustrating. Mandy, listen to me. I feel you. I feel you. I have, whenever I started dealing with the things that I was dealing with, and when I was dealing with my anxiety, my stress level, but also my depression, let me also throw this in there, my guilt, and all the other things that came along with the decisions that I made in my life. The most important thing that I was taught and that I was pushed to do was to create structure in my life. Not only to have structure in my life, but to have accountability points in my life. And so in doing that, I was to ensure myself that I would more or less kind of have a regimented schedule. It's not that I did the same thing every day, but I had those moments to where if I started feeling weak in one area or I started feeling that anxiety, I had places I could go, people that I could talk with, things that I could do that would get my mind. I keep telling y'all this all over and over and over. Have your song, have your scripture, know what you're going to do before it hits. That way, when it does hit, you know exactly what to do. Well, we're limited now because I can't just go and do what I would normally do, because a lot of what I do as far as going and performing, being on stage, meeting people, interacting with people, making people laugh, all that sort of thing, that's all therapy for me. It's more than just my job. It's more than just how I provide for my family, but it's also therapy for me. So when I go and just pouring myself out to people, that's therapy for me. And so because I've not been able to do that, and yes, I do it. Yes, this is kind of the same thing, but it's still different because I don't have that interaction. So it's been difficult for me. So I know exactly I know exactly what you're taught, where you're coming from when you say that, because I'm having to restructure things for me. I'm having to refocus on some things. I'm having to realign some things in my life to where I can handle that. So if I could encourage you, it would be that. And you know what? I've kind of looked at it this way too, Mandy, is that this is a good lesson for all of us. And here's why it's a good lesson. Because we could find ourselves in a very structured place, okay? Very structured. But if we don't learn how to live outside of that structure, we're never going to grow beyond that structure. Is that good, everybody? All right, I need to say that again for somebody. If we never get challenged to move beyond our structured place, our structure will never grow. And that means we will always be stuck where we are for the remainder of our days. So a lot of times what has to happen is we have to be challenged to move beyond our structured settlement. We have to be reminded, we have to be pushed, we have to be encouraged. Just like a mama bird, when it's time for her babies to start flying, she kicks them out of the nest. She ruffles up the nest so it's very uncomfortable, so they have to move and leave, okay? So that's exactly what we have to do when we find ourselves in a position to where we're getting a little bit too comfortable. Sometimes God will allow, and then other times life will just happen. And so now we have to figure out, how are we going to grow from this? So the challenge is there, all right? So I admitted to you the challenge is real because I'm dealing with it. And it's not just because I'm dealing with it, you're dealing with it. But the challenge is real. But the growth is also real. So any moment that you have challenges coming into your life, okay, don't get frustrated even though frustration's there. Don't get down even though the temptation's there. Cry if you're going to cry, but then let's get on with it, okay? Because I've had my days through this. I've had my moments through this. There have been, I'm just going to be honest with you. We've had our moments. But I look at it as a growing spell. Yeah, a growing spell. Because I keep asking God for more, but he can only fit so much in the little bitty compartment that I have created for myself that I call my safe space. So when I get to the point to where I ask him for more, but I can't contain or hold anymore, then I'll have to start expanding a little bit so I can start receiving more. All right. But the only way that I can expand my structure base is to be challenged. And so I feel like that's what's happening for me. That is what's happening during this time. I'm having to learn how to respond when I don't have my regular structure in place. It's very challenging. It's scary. Yeah, it's scary. But I keep reminding myself that I'm growing. So I think we also have to remind our minds that we're not going backwards. We are not being thrown for a loop. We're not losing it. No, I'm growing. Do I have bad moments? Sure, but I'm growing. I'm growing. I'm just getting to the place to where I can now. I'm getting to the place to where I can accept more for more what God has for me. Okay, so let me just encourage you with that, Mandy, and those of you that can relate to what Mandy is saying here. Look at it as a growing process. And look at it as the reason that you are in a growing process, because God will not only allow us to grow, but He'll allow us to grow in those moments when we're about to receive more. So I'm living with expectancy now. Yeah, I'm living with expectancy now because I feel like I'm getting ready for more. I hope that helps, Mandy. I hope that helps. Yes, I hope that helps. Claudia says this quarantine is driving me crazy and my depression is getting worse. Claudia, yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Yeah. Use it as a growing time. I know it's challenging. Every person, I feel like every person that is in here right now is being challenged. We're being challenged with all sorts of things because the thing about people that deal with addictions, and it's going to sound like that I'm talking a little bit beyond us. But because a person that goes through anxiety and depression is also, you kind of have the same traits as an individual that's addicted to something. All right. So when we come in and we have to receive our help, it has to be very structured, just like an alcoholic. They have to be very structured. There are certain places they can't go, or certain things they can't do, certain people they can't hang around with because it's going to bring them back down. All right. So we have to live in that very structured. And when that structure has been shaken, then it forces us to have to grow. So the challenge for every person that's watching me right now, the challenge for you is, how are you going to respond? Yeah, that's a good word. How are you going to respond? Are you going to let it get the best of you, or are you going to let it bring out the best in you? What did I just say? Are you going to let it get the best of you, or are you going whoo? Yeah, I've got to make a decision. Am I going to let it get the best of me, or am I going to become the best me that there is? Yeah, I'm going to grow a little bit now. So that's what we got to make the decision, Claudia. Yeah, I feel you. Listen, my whole work, what I do for a living has changed. I'm having to I'm having to make some difficult decisions about my future. And I can share with you guys and not be judged. There were some very exciting things that my dog's getting excited about something. I had some very exciting opportunities that were coming before me. Things that I had been waiting on, things I had been praying for, doors that I had been waiting on to open. And I was a matter of 2 weeks of kicking that off, being able to go to certain places, do certain things. getting hooked up with media companies, all of that. And we were 2 weeks from all of that, kicking paperwork signed, everything's done, getting ready to go. We were 2 weeks away from doing it. I was preparing my material. I was getting everything ready. I had my clothes bought. I mean, we were ready to go. And 2 weeks out, and in a matter of 2 days, I watched every bit of it disappear. Everything that I had been waiting on, everything I had been working toward. And I don't mean that it disappeared, that it will never come back, but I was there. I could see it. I could taste it. I could almost feel it. And then it was just wiped away. So it's more than, so just letting you guys know, it's more than just being closed up. It's more than just being sheltered in. It's forced me to have to, alter plans. What I thought I was going to be doing for the month of May, June, and July doesn't look like it's even going to happen. The whole month of April was booked. I was supposed to be shooting a live DVD. My first comedy DVD. I was supposed to be shooting a live DVD in the month of April. It got scratched. So, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to look when this is all. See, that's the scary part. And I know that I'm talking a lot about me, but I'm hoping that maybe by me sharing what I'm feeling and thinking, then you can kind of glean off that too. Because for me and my situation, sure, they can, the president can come out and say, we're going to open up the company or we're going to open up the country on May the 1st, or we're going to open up the country and do this. Okay, that's great. I don't know what that's going to look like for me. And when I say me, I'm not just talking about as an individual. I'm talking about all entertainers. We don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know how quick it's going to bounce back for us. Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm not questioning God's timing. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you were there and then all this happens, and when you deal with the anxieties and you deal with the things that I deal with, it's, it's challenging. Yeah, I'm not questioning God on anything. But right now it's the unknown. It's the unknown of knowing, okay, is it going to come back and be exactly like it was going to be? Is it going to be better? How quick is it going to come back? So I would never question God's timing at all, but I'm just kind of giving you an insight of, it's more than just being shut in. We all have things that we have to deal with that comes along with being. It's not just the fact that, I'm not just stuck in this office of walls and, I can't go anywhere. No, there's just a lot more to it. And so we have to fight through those anxieties. I'm sitting here, we're talking about what am I going to do to make it through July? We're talking with, all right, are we going to shoot a DVD? If so, where we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it. Well, if the country opens up by this date, maybe we can do it here. Maybe we can do that. So just a lot of question marks, So there's just a lot going on with that. So I just say all that to say to you that this shut-in kind of carries a whole lot more, carries a whole lot more with it than just being stuck in. Some of us feel stuck where we are, not like in a literal stuck in my house, but I'm stuck. There's no planning. There's no way for me to project what's going to happen in August. There's no way for me to plan for July. Because my normal schedule right now would be, I'm looking at my dates and we're booking hotels and I'm looking, all right, am I going to fly or am I going to drive, booking airlines? And I mean, just, all the stuff that it takes just to get there. And it's like nothing. It's like, there's no preparing for anything. And I know that God's got us. That's the reason I'm not stressing. See, there's the difference. See, you can't take what I'm saying and think that I'm stressed out to the max and I have unbelief, because that is far from the truth. God has kept me thus far, and I know that He's going to keep me. That's why I'm still able to come to you and smile, even though I'm dealing with this. I'm just trying to help someone identify with me that I understand what those hesitation moments feel like. I know what life feels like when there's a bunch of question marks, because that's what I'm living right now. And I've told you from the very beginning, those of you that may be new to the group, those of you that may be with me for a while, and maybe I've just not said it enough for you. I just want you to hear from me that I will always teach you from what I'm going through. That's just how I operate. I will tell you from the get-go that I have not arrived. I don't have it whooped. But I'm doing my part to stay at least 2 or 3 feet ahead of you. So that way, when you start going through what I've been through, I'm able to help you get through that and still be able to smile and shout about it because you got the victory. So I will always be transparent in that. So don't ever think that, you're coming to me because I'm some expert. No, I'm in the trenches with you. And it's not to get you to feel sorry for me. It's for you to understand. My whole life right now is a question mark. But I know who's writing my story. And let me say this too. Let me say this before everybody starts commenting. I know who's writing my story, but I never want to be this person. And I never want you to be this person. I don't ever want to be that overly spiritual person that constantly quotes the overly spiritual sayings or phrases or catchphrases. I know God's got me. But you know what? There are moments when I'm still scared. The scripture says, and here I am kind of getting in preaching mode. Don't encourage it because I'll keep going. The Bible says that He causes all things to work together. Okay, I can trust that He's working for my good, but if He's causing the bad things, that still means I've got to go through the bad things. When He says that He causes all things to work together for our good, yes, I can know that it's for my good, but I still have to go through the pain. I still have to go through fighting the anxiety that I have to fight with. Now, I can trust God all day long, but I still have to have feelings. So I never want to catch myself being that overly spiritual person that is just constantly, I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to tell you that God's got everything under control, and I'm going to tell you that, God has to allow permission. Yes. But when you're in the middle of that, you can still believe it, but still feel the effects of what you're going through. Job kept his head on straight. Job kept his mind. Job had people that were telling him to give up. His own wife said, why don't you just curse God and die? Job had every opportunity to quit. And we could have gone through there and told Job, now, Job, listen, God's going to give you double for your trouble. He's going to give you, all right. Well, we could have told him that. But you know what? That didn't make Job feel better when he lost his kids. You think that made the pain go away whenever he lost all of his belongings? No, he had to go through that. He felt that. We read in the book in the Bible that bears his name. We read how his anguish was there and how rough his life was. It was so bad that his own wife was willing to sacrifice him so she could get out of the mess. There's your woman. So please don't ever get to the point to where we become so overly spiritual that it's not that I'm losing sight of whose I am, and it's not that I'm losing sight of where I am and where I'm going. But let me tell you something. There are things that happen in life that will hit you in the gut, and you can have all the faith in the world, and you can have all the trust in God in the world. But when you get hit in the gut, you lose your breath. whether that's God allowing it to hit you, whether it's just life, whether it's your own decisions, when you get hit in the gut, it's going to hurt. That doesn't mean that I've lost my concentration. It doesn't mean that I've lost my focus. Is this helping anybody? It doesn't mean that I'm less of a believer or less for a Christian. But, sometimes we just need to understand that when people get hit or get suckered punch in the gut, we just got to realize that we've got to allow the people to be able to recover from that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. When you see people get hit with life, don't be overly spiritual and beat them over the head with the Bible. Now, some of them probably need some guidance, and I will offer that. But y'all listen, that doesn't take away the pain. That doesn't take away the agony. That doesn't take away being hit in the gut and losing the air. And, that's kind of what I felt like whenever all of this began. Was I knew that God had me. And listen, let me tell you this. The things that I was getting ready to do was unheard of in the time frame that I've been able to do it. I've had other comedians, I've had other people. Look like I came unplugged with my mic. Are we still on? Just check and make sure. Check. Yeah. So I had other people who they quit talking to me. I had other comedians that I was looking up to as mentors. None of them in the Christian world. But they quit talking to me. They quit reaching out to me because I had doors opening up for me. I had doors opening up for me quicker than what they did. Some of them have been doing this for 15, 20 years. And I was seeing God's favor. There were things that I was getting to experience that they've yet to experience. And it was in my first year or starting into my second year. So I knew that it was God. I knew it was God. I knew it was nothing I was doing because I was still trying to figure out why I was where I was. So I knew it was God. Now watch this. I know that if God brought it around the first time, I think, Miss Vera, you might have asked earlier, and I saw that question, will the option be open to you at a later time? Let me answer that question by saying this. I know that it was God that did it the first time, and I know that if God did it once, he can do it again. So that's my focus, all right? But that still doesn't take away the air that left me when I was hit in the gut. When I'm looking at my computer and I'm watching these dates just disappear. And every time I answer my phone from my agent, he's telling me this one's been put off, this one's been put off. More bad news, this one's being put off. So yeah, I know God can bring it back because he brought it the first time. But it doesn't take away. Now, some of you may say, well, if you had faith, all right, well, you may be stronger than I am. So just go with it. If it doesn't bother you when things like that happen, go be you. Enjoy life, write a book, start a group, go on Facebook Live, help us grow. I'm just telling you where I am. I felt like that the air was coming out from me. And it took me a few days. I didn't lose faith. I didn't curse God. I didn't, oh, poor pitiful me. But it took my breath. And I believe that in those moments and in the moment that we are all in right now, I believe that in times like this, that's when we all have to step back and say, okay, God, Are you trying to show me something? Are you trying? Okay, what's going on here? What am I missing? What am I missing? We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Uh, but I understand what everyone's going through, and I didn't mean to go through all that. But maybe it helps somebody. All right, let's see here. Look here, Deanne. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. Amen. It will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. Amen. So that's encouraging. Yeah. And it's those things. I've always told you to find your places. It's those things. I'm in my word. You know, I'm finding what encourages me. I'm not freaking out. I'm not, I'm not wringing my hands. I'm not losing sleep at night. I'm anxious. And of course, somebody's going to quote, God, the Bible says be anxious for nothing. It's an exciting anxious. You remember when you were a kid and you were so excited you couldn't sleep because Santa Claus was coming the next night, coming tonight. You know what I'm talking about? So that's kind of where I am. I'm just like, I'm ready. I'm anxious. I'm ready. I'm excited to see what's going to come of this. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. I'm ready for the veil to be lifted. I'm ready, to do all that. So yeah, I'm at that moment in my life. But we're just going to see what happens. All right. I went on a rant, didn't I? All right. Anybody else got anything? Thank you, Deanne. I appreciate you. Let me scroll back up through here and see if I missed anybody's. All right. Paige said the deaths, though, it's too much. Yeah. All right. So I will tell Paige just like I'll tell you just like I've told my church. And that is don't get sucked into the media. Don't get sucked into the media because they are they have their own agenda. And their agenda is not to bring you comfort and peace. Their agenda is to try to control your reaction. And what they did was they invoked fear into people, and everybody's reacting to that. Are you saying the virus is not real? Oh, no, it's real. Are you saying it's not killing people? Oh, no, I know. Lives have been lost. But nowhere near the numbers of other things that we deal with on a yearly basis. So their job is to invoke fear. Their job is to get you to react, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to control the atmosphere of our country. So you have to be very, very careful when you buy into what they're telling you, because they're either only telling you part of the story or they're not telling you the proper context of the story. So you have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. I have seen it since this whole thing has started. I think one of the very first deaths that I saw reported, they were commenting about the fact that this individual had passed, and it was the virus that got him. It was the virus that got him. Well, he was a young man. But then when I read on into the story, I found out this young man had been in the hospital already before the virus ever came into existence. He was already in the hospital dying of leukemia. See, they didn't tell you that part. All they wanted you to know was there's this 25-year-old guy that's died of the virus. Well, he tested positive for the virus, but it was the leukemia that took him. All right, so you have to be very, very careful. you have to be very, very careful in what you're taking in, because I'm telling you, and for those of you that are listening to me, and I may lose some people when I say this, but for what we go through with our anxieties and our insecurities, the last thing we need is for individuals trying to control us with their narratives just to get a rise out of us. Listen, your emotions, you have to fight hard for your emotions. You have to see, we have to fight to keep that smile on our face. I don't need to add any additional to my life than what I already have. So that's why I won't watch them, because I don't need their influence on me. I've already got my struggles. I don't need any additional struggles. And so if I could advise you, don't listen. I've got church people that will send me messages and say, all right, what's the latest in the news? Because I'm not watching it. You instructed us not to watch it. I'm getting my news from you. What are you going to tell me? And I tell them, I listen to the health people. I listen to the president. I listen to those that are coming down from the vice president. But when it comes to the media, I don't need no media telling me what I need to do to think. So for those of you that are kind of feeling that anxiety, kind of look at what you're bringing in. And when I say the media, but also know that could be social media. That could be social media that you're bringing in. You need to figure out what is bringing you this anxiety and stop bringing it in your home and stop bringing it into your mindset. The wonderful thing about Facebook, one of my favorite features is the block me feature, because I love blocking people. But the number 2 feature that I like is the unfollow feature. They may be friends and they may be people that I love to communicate with, but if they continue to throw doom and gloom, I just simply unfollow them. I don't want to see it. I love them. I just don't want to see what they have to post. So I just determined that if I have someone that is throwing stuff at me constantly, whether they know it or not, some of these people are just randomly posting stuff or sharing this story or sharing that. There was this one individual, I won't call their name. I don't even know how we ended up friends. But there was one individual that kept posting story. And the headlines were like, wow. And then I got to looking, and these stories were dated like 2007, 2008. I'm going, my goodness. So I ended up unfollowing that person, because every time they would post something and I would see the headline, my anxiety would rise up. And there was nothing to it. Unfollow. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not people that try to send me messages through Facebook Messenger that is constantly trying to send me doom and gloom. Block. I don't. So for those of you that are dealing with this anxiety and this over anxiousness of things, find out where it's coming from and stop it. Stop it. I mean, find out where you're getting this and then stop. Don't allow that to continue to come into your life. It's not worth it, y'all. It's not worth it. We already have a fight on our hands to put a smile on our face. We already have a fight on our hands to be able to enjoy life as it is. We already have our enemy. We know what we're battling. We don't need help. So find out what that is and stop it. Unfollow, block, do whatever you got to do. Just don't. I'm not going to say that I never turn on a news station. I will flip through every once in a while just to see what they're saying. I don't listen. I don't get my opinion from them. I'm not watching this all day to see. If I know the president or the vice president is going to speak, I may put it on a channel to listen to their stuff, but I'm not sitting there watching that channel to form my opinion. I don't need them. They don't have my best interest at heart. And this is not a Facebook Live to rant on the media because that's my background. That's where I came from. But I just I can't do it. There are people that I can't listen to. No, I just have to remove them. All right. I get y'all. We've almost gone an hour. Y'all have just sit here and let me talk, and many of you have not said a word. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Not said a word. All right. Do we have one more question and then we'll wrap this up because I think I have bored you silly. All right. So while that's coming in, let me also just do a little shameless plug here. Don't forget to go on to YouTube and look up youtube.com/comedian Mickey Bell. Yeah. Comedian Mickey Bell. And be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell. That way you can be notified of my brand new show that is going to be coming up very, very, very soon. All right, so let's talk about this. What if all your life you have felt you were not good enough? I know it stems from my dad being old school. I work for this household, but I just can't seem to shake that unworthiness. All right, let's deal with this because if you know my past and know my history, you know that I had abandonment issues from when I was born. I had abandonment issues from where I was born, and my dad ran off. My biological dad ran off before I was even born. I never met him. Even though he wanted to meet me before he died, I did not allow it. Didn't know his name. Don't want to know his name. Never saw a picture of him. He probably looked something like me. Good looking guy, probably. But I never saw him, never met him. So I know what you mean when you said that you never felt good enough, because once I realized at age 13 that I was adopted, and when I started acting out as an adult, and when I say acting out, I'm talking about making mistakes and sinning and having bad decisions and all that. And when we started nailing down what's causing this, what's making me do this, I started realizing that a part of that was abandonment, but another part was the fact that I never measured up. And I found myself from the moment I was 13 on, I found myself overly pleasing people. I was constantly. I would put myself through hell to get you to like me. And I never could. When we first got married, Wendy was always telling me, my wife, Wendy was always telling me, why do you care what they say? I mean, they're nobody to you. Why is it that you care what they say? And it was because it was just in me. I don't know what it was. But I just had this need that I constantly had to try to get people to like me. I had to please everybody. And then when you go into pastoring churches and you can't please everybody, that my turmoil began. That's when it all really started coming to a head, because I couldn't please everybody. And so all of my insecurities just all came out at the same time. So, all right. So I'm not sure who it was, because it just said Facebook user. So I'm not sure who I'm speaking to, but whoever this was. Here's the most important thing that I can tell you is that you know where it stems from. So you never have to allow your mind to play tricks on you as to what's causing it. You know where it stems from. Okay. So that's important to know. You know where it stems from. So you know now where to direct your work, your mindset, and getting well. All right. So you know it stems from your dad. Okay. Now, that's a struggle in itself, because when it comes to our parents and when it comes to a dad or it comes to a mom, those are the individuals that we really want to be proud of us. Everybody could tell me, Mickey, you did a good job. But when my mom or dad would tell me, it carried a little bit more weight, right? You with me? So it is tough whenever you know that it stems from your dad. But let me also say this. You have to figure out, what is it about you that gives you worth? Because I had to stop allowing, watch this, I'm about to say something very powerful, all right? I was still worried about people liking me and me making sure that I made everybody laugh and everybody thought that I was good and all that. The moment that I stopped allowing people to define who I was the moment that I cut the ropes from being their puppet. The moment that I cut the ropes and saying, you're no longer going to control me by making me think I have to please you. And once I cut those ropes and cut those strings, all of a sudden I was no longer a puppet doing what they wanted me to do. I was able to live my life, and I was able to look at my worth, what I have to offer. Now, there are people in this world that hate my guts. But you know what? That tells me there is nothing I can do that's going to please them. Nothing. Nothing I can do is going to please them. So guess what? I'm going to quit trying to please them. Now, years ago, I couldn't do that because I had to have everybody like me. But now I'm to the point to where I'm okay with who I am. And if you don't like that, you don't have to be around me. In fact, it actually benefits more for you to stay away from me. So don't allow other people to try to define who you are. You find out what your worth is. And when you find out what your worth is, it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter what other people do. It doesn't matter what other people try to say about you. It's your worth that you know about. So you've got to keep that in mind everywhere you go. I'm not going to allow other people to define who I am. This Facebook user says, what do you do if they are your family? It doesn't matter. All right. So you were born into this family. All right. So you were born into this family. Okay. I mean, I've got some family issues that I could tell you about, but I'm not going to. I mean, you have to decide. But let me just also say this. Even if they are family, what gives them the right to define you? Yeah, they may be your family, but what gives them the right to try to tell you what's supposed to make you happy? What gives them that right? Because you're family? I have to be very careful on Mother's Day. I'm very careful on Mother's Day because I'm one of those people that on Mother's Day, I don't get up in the pulpit and preach all mamas are good, because you know what? Not all mamas are good. I'm just going to pause because some of you your head just blew off of your shoulders. I don't get up and preach on daddies that, all daddies are good. Because while some mamas had good mamas and I had a great mama, there are some that are sitting in the congregation that says, you know what? I don't want to be anything like my mama. Because if I end up like my mama, I'm going to end up strung out on drugs, homeless, or in jail. All right. So why would I allow that individual to define me just because they carry a title of family? No, not going to happen. So I am who I am. And I have defined what makes my worth, and I have defined what makes me happy. And if anybody's going to come and say, I just don't like that, well, guess what? I don't need your approval. Do y'all know how freeing that is? Do you know how freeing that is? When somebody says, well, I don't think you're qualified to do this, well, that's fine. you just take your little happy little self on over there because you're not going to stop me. I'm not going to try to win you over. Why? What do I get? What do I get if I win them over? All right, here's what happens. You know what I get if I win them over? I have given them the ability to stay in my life and cause further pain. All right, so listen. What do you do if they are your family? You love them. And if possible, you fellowship with them. But you limit them on how much of you they get. You limit them. Love them. Are we going to get together for Christmas? Fine. We're going to get together for Thanksgiving? Great. Am I going to come over and hang out with you every Friday night? No. Are you going to call me and get my opinion on every person you date and how you raise your kids? Absolutely not. I'm going to love them. I'm going to fellowship with them, but I'm going to limit how much authority they have in my life. Do you realize, y'all have got me going, are y'all okay that we're going past 8 o'clock? Do you realize that the people that are speaking into your life are only speaking into your life because you give them permission to? All these people, all these things that you allow come, when you allow the news to speak into your life and you allow them to cause you to fear, guess what? You gave them the authority to do that because you invited them in. You allowed them to be able to speak into your life. So I'm learning this. This is something I'm learning. So I've got to be very careful on who's speaking into my life because there are people that I may be given the authority. Then I can't complain when they say something that messes me up. So you've been trying to blame them, but wait a minute. You're the one that gave them the authority. You're the one that opened up the door and allowed them to have that kind of, that you're the one that gave them your space. So I've got to decide when someone comes into my life, am I going to take what they say to heart or am I just going to let it pass over me because I'm not going to give them that space? I'm going to limit you. You stay here. Now, we may be kin, we may be family, we may be brother and sister, whatever. But I'm going to have to keep you at an arm's distance because you can't be trusted with that kind of authority to be able to say things that are going to dictate what I do in my life. Now, I could go down this road too. Many of you are in the situations you're in because you gave that authority away too quickly. If I was going to take up an offering, it would be right now. If I could take up if I had an usher, I'd take up an offering right now. Many are in the situations you're in. And here's what you're doing. I love you. Listen, here's what you're doing. You're saying things like, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did this to me. I can't believe they did this to me again. I can't believe they keep on doing this to me. I can't believe they would do that. I thought they loved me. Whoa, wait a minute. Time out. Who gave them the authority to be able to do that to you? You did. You allowed them in. You allowed them to have the authority to be able to say those things that hurt you. You are the one that gave them the authority to be able to come into your life and to hurt you. And if they did it again and again and again and again, shame on them for doing it, but shame on you for allowing it. But see, that's the good news. See, I don't want you to think, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, you're getting all over me. It's not my fault. Whoa. Listen to me. See, that's the good news. The good news is that if you can stop it, the power is in your hand, not in theirs. So if I can stop you from hurting me by simply stopping you from having that kind of authority over me, then boom, I am in control. So every time they try to come into my life, I stop them. Every time they try to take that authority, I stop. Every time they try to control me, I stop them. Why? Because you have already proven but you don't love me. You've already proven that you cannot be trusted with my feelings. Therefore, until you prove, then we're just going to have to keep it right here. Because, I mean, you can't, you're the one that's allowing them to come in. You're the one that's allowing it. So I'm going to stop it. I don't need you to define my worth, because I'm able to define my own worth. I don't need you to tell me that I'm trash. I know that I'm not trash. I don't need you. I don't need you to hurt me so that you can feel powerful. I don't need you to run me down. You know what I do? Block, unfollow, move you back, stay back from me, because I'm not going to allow you. I'm not going to allow you. Y'all listen. When I was going through the stuff I was going through, I was getting hate text messages. I had phone calls. They were calling my work. I mean, all sorts of stuff. You know what I did? Blocked them. They're probably still texting my phone right now, but you know what? I'll never see it. And my life has been better. Not going to give you access to me. Some of you need to shut the door. Some of you need to shut the door. I'm not going to give you that kind of access to me. And some of you need to get to know more people before you let them have that access. Yeah, you're allowing way too many people to have access to you, to the inner workings of you. That's supposed to be secluded for only special people, and you've let the world in. And if you do not allow the right person in, you've allowed the wrong person in. And the wrong person that comes in, all they want to do is cause mass destruction. But you're the one that let them in. All right? So shut the door. Don't let people come that close. But even if they are family, I don't know who said this, but even if they are family, I'm sorry, but until you love me and until you accept me for who I am, I'm not going to give you that kind of access to me. I'm not. Again, let's get together for Christmas. We'll play Dirty Santa, whatever. I mean, let's get together on Mother's Day. I'll send you a happy birthday text. You send me one. But you know what? That's as far as I'm not going to allow you to get any closer than that. So every person, I think I've got 12 people watching now. I've probably made some people mad. So every person that's watching me, look at the camera right now. Look at the camera. I'm going to try to look at the camera. You need to define your worth. And some of you have been beat up so much and put down so long that you can't even find the worth in yourself. And I would almost bet that there may be a couple of people that are watching me right now with tears coming out of your eyes and rolling down your face because you've allowed too many people in. You allowed them in too quickly, and they hurt you, and they beat you down with their words. And for some of you, that may have beat you down physically. And so now you feel like you have no worth. So listen to me. The reason that you don't see worth in yourself right now is because you're looking through their eyes instead of God's eyes. You're looking through the eyes and listening to what they said. But if you could look through the eyes that God has for you, then you would find out that you're worth so much more. You would find out if you only knew how much you were worth, it would change the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress, the way you work, the way you party, the way you do all this stuff. You would change every bit of that if you could just recognize your worth. And if you're sitting there right now, if you're saying, I just don't feel like I'm worthy, and I just don't feel like I'm worth all that much, what you're telling me is this: I am describing myself through the eyes of the person that hurt me. So you're telling me I have listened to those individuals that I gave access to, and you've already admitted I shouldn't have given that kind of access to me. I shouldn't have given them that kind of control over me. But you're continuing to allow them to control you because you're letting their descriptions of you define who you are. Because they told you you're not worth anything. So now you're sitting there looking at this screen with tears coming out of your eyes going, I don't feel like I'm worth anything. Well, it's because you're listening to them. That's because when you see yourself, you're looking through their eyes. We've already determined they're trouble. We've already determined they're bad for you. So no, I'm not going to look at their. I could care less what they think. They're garbage. Look at what they did to me. Look at what they did to you. So if I block them out, if I got rid of those people and those adjectives and all those descriptions that they gave to me, if I remove that from my life, now what am I worth? Well, if I remove all that, I'm a pretty good dude. I'm an all right guy. Stop looking through their eyes and stop using their descriptions to define your worth. You want to know your worth? Go to God's word and allow him to describe to you how much he loves being your heavenly Father. He says things like this: just as an earthly father loves to do good things for his child, me as a heavenly Father, I love to do it even more. You're worthy. Your worth is up there. You're still valuable to this earth because you're still living. You just need to stop looking through the eyes of people who don't care about you. And you need to limit how much control they have. Whew, okay. I don't know that we can handle much more. Anybody else? I don't know. This describes it right here. Woo, yes. That describes it right there. I hope that you have had a wonderful evening. I want to encourage you and thank you for staying on. I think our numbers kind of stayed regular. Maybe a few people had to drop off, but others joined in. For those of you watching the replay, let us know what you think. Give us your comments. We'll respond to you. And again, for everybody else, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to get off of here, and we'll see you again next Monday.